In this video, we're going to go over how to create a sandbox account with ShipBob. So when someone asks you to create a sandbox account, whether you are creating an integration or you just want to test how everything works before you start shipping with ShipBob, here's how you do so. So you need to go to developer.shipbob.com. So I'm already on the developer.shipbob.com and then navigate to sandbox simulations. So what you need to do is go to sign up for a sandbox account or sign up for our sandbox environment here. So click that and then sign up. So I'm just going to add, just a random name and let's say like dev demo and just go through all these steps. Cool. Okay, cool. And then I'm going to click get started. Okay, so I've signed up for my account and then next I need to log into my account. So I'm just going to log into my account. And right when you're creating your account, or after creating your sandbox account, you're just going to need to go through this onboarding process real quick. So I'm just going to quickly go through this. And even if you do plan to sell hazmat, the goal of this is just to start testing. So let's just go through this onboarding, skip this step, and then this dashboard will start loading. Okay, so there'll be a couple more pop-ups that you can ignore. Never ending. Okay, so now we're ready. So I've created my sandbox account and the next step I want to do is I want to get my API key. So there's a couple ways you could do this. You could sync down from a test development Shopify store or your platform if you're using ShipStation or WooCommerce. But in this video, I'm just going to cover like how to get your API key to start making requests. So I'm going to go in the ShipBob dashboard, go to integrations, and then API tokens. And then from here, what I need to do is generate a token. So I'm going to click generate token. And then I'm just going to name this as like, demo. You don't really need to name it anything else other than that. You can enter a description, but it's for you to reference. So I'm going to get this API key. And then from there, I can use this to make my first API request. So I'm just going to copy this right here. I copied the token. And then I'm going to hit confirm and close. Cool. So here's the next step where I can start making my first API request. And so you can use Postman, Insomnia. You can use an iPass. For me, I'm using Bruno. It's just a free tool like Insomnia or Postman. So I'm just going to open that up and I'm going to go in Bruno, go to new request. And then I'm just going to name this get channel. So that's really like the first thing you need to do. And you can, I know this by heart, but you can find this on our API docs for the get channel. And I'm just going to type this in and do create. Okay, so here is our get channel endpoint, but this is only for production. So I need to update this to sandbox. Okay. And then I also need to go to auth and go to bearer token and pass in that token that I just copied. And then now I can make this request. So I'm going to make this request, right? And it's going to give me my channel ID. So right here is my channel ID. So I have two channel IDs right now. I have this one that's named privileged access token. So this is for my API key channel. And then this is for like if I manually created something on the ShipBob dashboard, whether it was a product or an order. So this channel concept is like important if you have like multiple Shopify stores or you have multiple marketplaces and you want to separate your orders on each channel. But for this example, I just want to start creating products on Sandbox and create some orders. So I'm going to try to create a product right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy this, okay? And then I'm going to clone this. I'm going to say get product. So I'm going to clone this, and then I'm going to update this to product. Okay. So I'm just going to send this request, and there's going to be no products, right? So if I go back to the dashboard right here, I can see that there's no products in my account yet. And this also brings me up to another important thing is before you go live, you need to click this go live. So this is just demo data that's not going to show up in the API. So I need to also click go live. That's a big thing. So please click go live. I think we're removing this anyways because we're already in a sandbox account, but this is just for reference to click go live when you go to your products page. Okay, so I've gone live and now I can see that there's like 0 products in my account whatsoever, which is always good to see. And another pop-up. So finally, we're now ready to create a product. So I'm just going to go back to Bruno and I'm going to clone this again. I'm going to say create product. Okay. So I'm going to update this to a post request, right? And then in the body, I need to pass some JSON. Okay. And I am going to go to the create product endpoint. So I'm going to go back to here and then go to API reference and then go to products, add a single product to the store. And then I'm just going to copy this sample request. Okay. So let's go back to here and I'm just going to put this in. So just to keep things simple, I'm just going to pass the reference ID, the SKU, and the name. And I'm just going to do light roast coffee to start. So I'm just going to name this SKU light roast, but you can have anything that you want. And our reference ID is the unique identifier in our system. So reference ID and SKU are usually the same, but some platforms use like a variant ID. So like a unique 16-digit identifier or whatever. So that's what the reference ID, why it's different than SKU, but they can be the same. So then I'm just going to update this to light roast coffee. And then I'm going to do a post. So you can see that I got this 403 forbidden because I didn't pass my channel ID that we got right here. So I just need to grab this channel ID, okay? Copy it, go back to my create product, go to the header, and then add the ShipBob channel ID. Okay, so I'm gonna pass that, and then let's go back to this body, and then let's make this request again. Awesome, so I was able to successfully create a product. So if I come back to my ShipBob dashboard and I refresh, I can see that my product, was created. And maybe it's taken a second to show up. I'm not really sure. I know our sandbox accounts are doing service, but it should be showing up. So I'm not sure, but just know that it should be showing up soon. Okay, so we've created a product, and now let's try to get products again and see if anything shows up. So I'm gonna hit this endpoint again, and I can see that light roast coffee is showing up in our API. There may be something where we're doing maintenance on our sandbox account, and I'm not gonna restart this video and redo this again. But it should show up in the UI. Okay, so we've gotten our API key. We've went live in sandbox mode. We've created a product. We've gone over a few things about channels and channels IDs. And the next thing we want to try out is creating an order. So I'm going to come back to this create product, and I'm just going to clone this and let's say create order. Okay, cool. And I'm just going to update this to order. So that's how you create, that's the endpoint for our orders. And then I'm going to go to the body right here, and I need to go back to our API docs, and I'm going to go to create order. Okay, so let's expand all, and then let's copy. So this is our create order endpoint. Okay. And one note I want to make on our create order endpoint is when I go to this products model, I want to use the second option. That usually is the easiest to use. So the second option allows you just to pass the reference ID, name, and quantity when you're creating an order. And if you don't have a product that exists yet, it will automatically create the product. So that's why I recommend using, this second option right here. Okay, so I've copied this, and now I'm going to go back to Bruno, and I'm just going to paste this. And just because we're getting started and we want to see an order show up in our API, I'm just going to strip this down to like all the necessary fields just for you guys just to get used to our API. So I'm just going to take out these fields. This retailer program data is more for like dropship or B2B. If you're doing like D2C, you don't need it. Okay, so I have this, shipping terms, don't need that. Location ID, we will automatically assign the order based on what location has inventory. So I don't need that. And I'm just going to update this to July 2024. And I don't need tags. Cool. So everything here, if I zoom out for a second, is something that I want to use to create my first order. So I'm going to update this product right here, and I'm going to remove these two fields. Okay. And I'm just going to update this to reference ID. Okay. And this is going to be light roast. And then I'm going to do name, and this is going to be light roast coffee. Okay. So I'm going to do an order for one quantity of light roast coffee. And then this shipping method right here, you can do free 2-day shipping, or you can just do standard. Okay. And then let's just keep those, the email, phone number, all those fields. And then this reference ID is also like a unique identifier in our system. So I'm just going to do, 0001. This order number could be whatever you want it. It could be like this, depending on the platform. If you have multiple channels, they could have the same order number depending on how much volume you're doing. So that's why the reference ID is always like the unique number in our system. So this can sometimes be like, a really random generated number. So let's just create this order now. And I'm going to click submit. Okay, cool. So I was able to see this 201 right here, and the order was able to be created, which is awesome. So if I come back to the ShipBob dashboard, I'm going to go to my orders page, orders, and I can go to my orders. Okay, cool. So I can see right here that this order was created, but I can see that it's on hold because of a payment failure. So what it's basically asking us is, it's basically replicating that what would happen in our production environments. So if you don't have a valid credit card on file, our warehouses can't ship the order. So for this case, you can just go to payment methods in the sidebar and then add a credit card, and you can just add a random credit card with any expiration date. So 4242 repeatedly up to 16 digits, and then add expiration, and then just add any zip code. So expiration date has to be in the future. So I'm going to click add card. Okay, awesome. So now that's resolved. So now I'm gonna go back to my orders, but it's still gonna be on hold because I don't have packaging preferences set. So our sandbox accounts are set up to replicate our production accounts almost like too much, but this is just what would happen in production. But basically just saying, hey, there's no packaging preferences set for this product. So if it was in our warehouse and we didn't have packaging preferences set, we couldn't ship it because we don't want to guess if this should be packed in a box or a poly mailer or whatever. So I'm just going to choose, poly mailer. It has no requirements, right? And poly mailer. Okay, cool. So I'm going to click save. And if I scroll back up and then I go back to this order, I can see that it's still going to be, it's going to update when I click this and say that it doesn't have inventory. So at this point, you need to reach out to developers at ShipBob.com and ask them to allocate inventory for this item. So for this order to go into processing, you need to ask them to allocate inventory. So a sample email would be like, hey, for inventory ID 6655236, can you add 100 quantity or 1,000 quantity to a fulfillment center? And once that happens, this order will update the processing. And then from there, you can simulate shipments by reaching out to developers at ShipBob.com or using our simulate shipments endpoint. If you want a video on that, drop a comment below. And if you have any other questions, let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for the time. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.